Hello, BookTube. Sorry for the Boris Karloff lighting, but it's very, very early in the morning. But it is very, very early in the morning on a Sunday. And not just a Sunday, but the first day of October. Um, so no matter what else I do in the course of today, I wanted to do, of course, the first day of every month on BookTube is when people do their TBRs. And those of you who've been watching this channel for a length of time will know that yeah, it doesn't really work for me. I read an enormous amount, and I plan on reading an enormous amount. So there's no way that I could fit a TBR into even a long video. So what I do on this channel instead is something different. I do a TBR BY, to be read by you. Basically, a collection of recommendations of mine for books coming out in October that you can keep an eye out for if the subject or the description seems of interest to you. I have 10 of them lined up on the trusty iPad. We'll see if the tricky lighting here will work. The first one is a kid's book called, oh, that works okay. It's called Alfie by Thyra Heder, and it's about a grade school girl who forms a relationship with her class turtle. And it's delightful. It's I think that the basic gist of the message is that friendship is eternal, but it also serves as a reminder that not all pets are human, which is really neat, which not a lot of kids' books do. Then the next one is biography. It's an epic. It's Jonathan Egg's biography of Muhammad Ali, and there have been many Muhammad Ali books, but this one is just superb. It's just superb. I talks to everybody that Ali knew. It's incredible. And as a result of that, as a result of the preponderance of personal anecdotes, you get I thought, a much richer picture of Ali than more strictly narrative books give you. I think it's one of the month's standout biographies and one of the year's standout biographies. Certainly, if you know a boxing, a sports, or a Muhammad Ali fan, you have to get this book. You just have to. It's big, but it's endlessly readable. And the next one is also history. We're gonna stick with a couple of Steve subjects here at the beginning, and that's Victor Davis Hanson, The Second World Wars. It's a big book as well, and as you can tell from the title, it's Hanson concentrating on the fact that World War II was a world war, that the conflict wasn't just fought in Western Europe. It was fought all over, and it does that really well. There have been a bunch of World War One single volume histories that have tried to convey the global scope of the conflict, and a lot of them do a really good job. This is this season's best attempt at that. So if your book buying list has a World War II history buff on it, this is the one to get. This is the big ticket item for the year that isn't a biography. And then next one is fantasy by a skilled hand. This is Elizabeth Bear. This is the Stone in the Skull. You see that? It's a lovely cover, in which our two heroes. This is a it's set in a world that she has delved into many times before. And we have two weird heroes. There's Gage, which is a mechanical construct created around a biological core by creators who are long gone, and the Dead Man, who is his kind of sort of friend. They're one of the weirdest duos in currently running fantasy fiction. And in this episode, they go from the well trod grounds of this fantasy land that Elizabeth Bear has created. They go south into areas that she hasn't really delved into in detail, and I read it and loved it. I love everything she does. And when I was reading it, I was thinking, you know, keep your mind partially aware of whether or not a newcomer could like this book. And I think a newcomer could. I think that if you didn't know anything about this world, you could easily read and like this book, which is a tribute to her. Then the next one is, I guess it's also a graphic novel. I don't know. They're a little bit prevalent in this list, but I don't know that I would call it that. It's a cartoon collection. Well, anyway, maybe it's a sui generis category, just like its creator. This is Roz Chast going into town. It's subtitled "Love Letter to New York," and it's about encountering New York City. In most cases, a vanished New York City, It's street vendors, how the streets work, how the numbering works, how the subway works, and how it doesn't work. All the urban legends, and it's done with such incredible affection that it really is. Well, she's just been on a streak for a while now. But this book is certainly, if you live in New York, you certainly if you live in New York, you should have this volume. But if also it's an odd feature to it that I didn't expect is that it also really does double as a kind of practical guide. Her explanations of some of the arcana of how to live in and get around in New York City are actually accurate and would be helpful to the legion of students that go there every year. Then the next one is also heavily illustrated. I guess that's a theme this time around. I didn't see it coming until I was looking at these now. But this is by Kelly and Zach Weinersmith, and it's Soonish. And it's their illustrated graphic novel of upcoming technologies, emerging technologies, uh, organ cloning, artificial intelligence, space exploration, all sorts of stuff, and how those emerging technologies may go. Will they turn out good? What might be their dark sides? And it's incredibly entertaining. They are such entertaining companions along the way that although they're conveying you a huge amount of scientific information, you don't feel it. And they're also funny. They're just plain joking funny. They're kidding and they're ribbing lands almost all of the time, which is a rare thing. uh, so as a a sugar pill to get you to read about technology, especially if you think it's beyond you, oh, definitely find it and give it a try. Then the next one is part of a series that comes out every year that I'm sure some of you are aware of, the Best American series. It started out as just Best American Short Stories, but now it's Best American Everything, and really um, is invaluable. The Best American series is really invaluable. All the volumes are worth reading, no matter what, especially if you're interested in the genre. But the one that stood out for me this year was Best American Nature and Science Writing, because hand in hand with Soonish, uh, uh, the essays that are called here from everywhere, from Scientific American, Science Today, the New Yorker, all sorts of places, are I didn't think there was a dud in the bunch, which ordinarily in these anthologies I will find stuff that you can see that it appealed to an editor, but you don't see any appeal in it yourself. In this particular volume, it's just endlessly fascinating. So on one hand, I recommend the Best American series just in general. No matter who the editors are, no matter who the guest editors are, they're always worth going through. Like, for instance, at your library. But if you're interested in science writing, I would suggest getting this volume because it's outstanding even for this series. The next one is a classic. Didn't want to go to the list without a classic now, did we? It's a guinea pig Romeo and Juliet. I think I've mentioned it on this channel before. And it's, oh my, it's Shakespeare the way Shakespeare should be done. You'll see it probably on the gift counter at your bookstore or maybe at the cash register as an impulse buy. And much as I hate to say it, it's an impulse buy that's worth the impulse. You will just get it and keep it on your nightstand for a momentary glance here and there. You'll be glad you did. I have now all of the guinea pig classics so far, and I go back to them far more often than I thought I would. The next one is a romance, uh, and it's a Regency romance, but it's it's not a Regency romance that even romance fans will automatically encounter because it's not a big Berkeley or Avon full color release that will be in the new release section. Instead, it's part of the Harlequin romance series. Harlequin Romance does a bunch of imprint separate series. They do intrigue, they do Christian, and one of the ones that they do for a month, for however long it lasts, could be ending, is historical. And they break up their historicals into Western, sometimes Viking, sometimes Highlander, and there's almost always a Regency romance or two. And one of the Regency romances they did this time around is by Anne Lethbridge, and it is An Innocent Maid for the Duke. It's got a Soloflex model on the cover. No Duke in Regency England looked like that, and wouldn't have wanted to either. A Duke in Regency England would have said that that looked like I was a manual laborer, and it would have been, if it would have been freakish, she would have been cut from society. But it doesn't matter. Anne Lethbridge, it turns out to be fantastic. I read this book and loved it, absolutely loved it, and thought, I could swear I've read something else by her, and it turns out she's written a couple of books for Harlequin that I have really liked. I didn't ping the name. It's in a series, The Society of Wicked Gentlemen, and the Duke in question has just inherited in his dukedom and all the responsibilities that go with it, and wants to feel alive again, wants to feel like a person again, and the maid in the title is the young woman who helps him to do that. The thing that I really liked, well, I liked the dialogue, and I love the character of the maid, who's really memorable. But the thing I liked most of all was that the new Duke's world is not nebulous. It's not nebulously invoked. It's not that he's saying, "Oh, I have a lot of responsibility." Period. We get a sense of what that world is like, and that's always good. that's always good in a Regency romance. So I don't know where you will find your Harlequin historicals. If you have Barnes and Noble, a big chain bookstore near you, they might still get them. They don't have anything like Harlequin romances. Don't have anything like the currency in bookstores that they once had, and I don't think they're in supermarkets at all or drugstores. Actually be curious to know if those of you who are romance fans, or especially if I have any followers who are Harlequin romance fans, where do you find them? Do you just sign up online, or do you actually find them in stores? And then the last one for this time around is another graphic novel, but it was so epic, so wonderful that I had to include it. So sorry to those of you who aren't big graphic novel fans, but if you know someone who is, these make great presents too. And this is the last one. It's Hellboy in Hell by the great Mike Mignola. And this is his signature character, Hellboy, who's, you might have seen the movies. He's looks like a great big demon, but he's actually one of the good guys. And in this graphic novel is a big deluxe hardcover library edition that is just gorgeous. So it's not cheap, but it's a great Hellboy story. Really, the final epic Hellboy story where he goes to hell and deals with hell, and all sorts of favorite characters from the character's history reappear, and the artwork is unbelievably good. Just Mignola at the top of his form, which is saying something because he's a fantastic creator. So it's a limited recommendation. You couldn't possibly, if you don't know anything about Hellboy, this would not be the place to start. But if you do, and you're seeing it, you've heard about it, and you're wondering if it's good or worth the money, it is. It is very much good and worth the money. And that's it. So that is an October 2017 TBR BY. Just 10 of titles that I really like for the upcoming month. There'll be lots of others. I'm sure we'll be talking about them. But for now, I wanted to wrap it up just because it's the 1st of October. So we're dealing with a whole new month of possibilities. And I'll leave it there for now, and I'll see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.